Welcome back to Project Ozone 2, Kappa Mode, episode 22. If you weren't tipped off already, I've finally crafted the animation wand. I got a few clips, a bit of a montage I'll include at the end of the video of that whole process. But for now, some Botania automation. Starting with the Runic Altar. I built something like this a while back, maybe a year or two ago, when I was playing E22 Expert. Kind of a flow control principle with a token to make sure the autocraft from AE2 wasn't sending like too many ingredients. I've kind of done a similar build. It's not as sleek as the video from a while ago, but I thought it was kind of neat. It's a little different. And I think I didn't have the same like access to mods. Like this is 1.710, it's older. I think I used things in 1.12 that maybe don't exist now. I can't remember. I didn't actually honestly look back on it, so we're starting fresh. But for starters, we got 2 runic altars. And the reason I did that is because the 2 runes that I need for the infinity catalyst here are the gluttony rune and the wrath rune. So we got winter and fire, and then winter, you know, is comprised of those guys. And the way I think this works is when you craft these, it costs, these are inputs, right? But when you're crafting the Rune of Winter, I think you get these back. I'm pretty sure you do. Or at least you get them back a good percentage of the time. And then same with here, because of the winter and the earth. Earth again. That recursion was kind of causing me issues with the vacuum hoppers picking up, you know, the ingredient when it was supposed to be, you know, the output. If that makes sense. I'm kind of sitting here waving my hands around like you can see. Maybe we just do a demo here. Runes. Let's ask for, let's keep track actually here. We got 59 earth and 42 water. 59, 42. Okay. Let's ask for 5. I guess it'll ask for 6. It has those available. Let's see what happens. Magnets off. Notice the walrus token. I usually just name a block, but in this pack, to name like a stack of sand or snow costs like 300 levels. It's insane. So we're using walruses. So the ingredients fall out of thin air thanks to that translocator mod. That'll show a little later. And then the mana is just flying. So notice the outputs. You get those 2 back, plus the winter rune. And so you can see how if I'm also trying to craft the earth rune, the green one, it would sometimes get picked up by the item collecting block, if that makes sense. What's the item collecting block that I was using? I wanted to use these guys because you can filter them, but they're immediate. There's no way, as far as I know, to create a delay. And my other option was the vacuum chest. You can use redstone to, you know, create a time delay so it's not active. But the problem is this thing has to have access. Like the vacuum chest would have to be here or, you know, here, which I guess is fine. The thing I liked with those item collectors is they can pull items, you know, through the ground, through blocks. So what I ended up settling with was a Botania Hopperhock, the petite one. And you have just the typical grass one here, which is the default one. It's got like a normal delay, but you can give it a type of spore to make it boreal, or another type to make it mycelium, which increases the delay. I have this problem where I just talk about it instead of showing it. It's like, what's the point of a video? Where are we here? Functional modulating delay. So Podzol adds a small delay, mycelium adds a bigger delay, and if you've got the floating guy, you can give it a boreal seed or an infestation spore to do the same. But we've got the default option because the larger delays were actually breaking the system here. And what's cool about these things is you can set them to interact with frames. So the living rock is like the catalyst to complete the craft. We don't want it to get picked up. So we have it in the item frame, and the Hopperhock is configured to not pick it up. So that's cool. Items fall from thin air, land here. After the mana gets sent, they get picked up by this guy, put into here, and returned. Well, how's that all done? So for starters, the design I did a year or two ago actually watched the mana pool, and then if it dropped too low, it would actually send a signal to AE2 to say, hey, you can't craft this. So that's kind of one downside or feature that doesn't really exist in this version. But I don't think that's necessary because of how good my mana generation is. You know, these guys are mostly always full. I mean, as long as this guy is full, it's off. But, you know, all these Gorgamary flowers are pretty effective at keeping this pool full. Let's go down below here first. I'm trying to think what's the best way to explain it. So I tried to make this really hard on the eyes. I wanted you to get a headache. I'm actually getting a headache in here. Yeah, so this is the chicken, you know, beef old news, right? Drops on the translocator plates. These are how I'm making those items. I'm making those items fall from the heavens. But here, this is what we want to look at. We want to look at this setup. The red string comparator is actually looking up at the Runic Altar. It can look through the autonomous activator because this thing doesn't give a redstone signal. Let's have a look at it here. It can interact with redstone, but it doesn't output a redstone signal. So what the red string comparator does, and it's very, very cool. I don't know of a single other mod that has that kind of functionality. It can look something like 6 blocks in front of it. Pull the wand out here. See that string? And you can see how it's actually focused on where the Runic Altar should be. So that's the first device that it's detecting that's outputting a redstone signal. So the way the Runic Altar works in Botania is when it's got a valid recipe, it outputs a 1. So we can use the comparator to pull from this comparator a 1 when it's got a valid recipe that's happening. And then when it's ready to get clicked on, it sends a redstone signal, which turns off the torch, which then activates this because we have it set to enable low. And a lot of this is not necessary. I just kind of think in my, you know, dumb head that this thing clicking all the time is a source of lag. It probably isn't, but, you know, I can automate it like this and make it hard and difficult, so, or harder than it has to be, rather. So I did it, which is kind of my brand, so to speak. Let's ask for a rune, actually. Again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So as soon as there's a valid craft, it's sending a 1. And then as soon as it's ready to go, it's got enough mana, you got the 2, which then of course propagates and shuts it off. So that's cool. That's how that all works. And then again, that Hopperhock is putting the item in this chest. And not just a return chest. Returning to AE2, so AE2 knows that the recipes are done, nothing's hung up, which is always really nice when you're doing a video demonstration, that nothing breaks. So this ender chest is actually where the ingredients get input. They get put into here, they get sucked out, the open crate dropped onto a translocator plate, which is configured to put the items like 7 or 6 blocks up in the air, just to get that cool visual. So that's fine. But what makes this special, part of my patented flow control, is that when you ask for a bunch of things, it doesn't get jammed up because of the walrus token. There's a walrus, and then when we hear that blast, recipe completes, the Hopperhock's picking everything up. Once it gets the items back, you don't see it, but the walrus gets pulled out really quickly, and then a new batch of ingredients get put in. It's actually kind of deceptive. Like, if I move this walrus... Oh, I just broke it. Nice. I wanted to... Oh, I know what's happening. I'm dumb. I'm pulling the walrus out, so it's sending the next craft. I swear. I swear I know what I'm doing. But yeah, so now we're just left with all this junk here, you know. Okay, great. We've broke it. That's fine. I meant to do that for a demonstration. Without this feature from Botania, this Hopperhock with that built-in delay before it picks things up, it's meant to work, right? Because, you know, it's part of the Runic Altar. It's the same Botania mod. This is also a really key functionality for this whole thing to work. Like, I could do it, you know, with the vacuum chest, with the redstone, but I like this. I just don't like how I can't hide it better. Because if I stick this in the ground, then I can't put an item frame on. So you can see, basically, when I pulled that walrus out, I broke everything. Let's go see why. I'm sure anybody familiar with AE2 knows exactly why. But this is the ME interface here with the Runic Altar. I've got this one configured for these runes, and this guy configured for these runes. In my mind, I thought, hey, let's split it up. I probably should have split this one to be different from this one, but whatever. The key thing here is do not push the next recipe in if there's items in that inventory. So the whole point of the walrus sitting in this ender chest is it doesn't push the next craft in until the walrus is pulled out, right? So if we do the runes, we're going to have so many runes by the end of this. Let's ask for these wrath runes. Look at that. So that's going to be using this one now. So we got the walrus in here. I was trying to move the walrus earlier so you could see, you know, how it gets pulled out and then a new one gets put in, but I guess you did see that. It just happens so quickly. It's not apparent that that guy's actually getting pulled out and reinserted so quickly. What we got going on here is a feature that I think is really underused with level emitters, but when you throw a crafting card in, you can set it to emit a redstone signal when it's crafting. So it's like a status. It's like, hey, we're making these, just give us a redstone. So I'm using that with the conduit here to hold this extraction output. It's not going to pull the walrus out unless the redstone goes low. So this guy's stuck in there, preventing more crafts getting pushed in until that drops. And what's really cool, and I wasn't sure this was going to work because even I'm not super familiar with these crafting cards in the level emitter, is it's per craft. So it all happens so quickly, but that will drop low before it pushes the next. See that? I'm not crazy. But yeah, same difference for this one. The only kind of downside is you got to configure it for each one. So fortunately, I'm only crafting 5 runes here. But you can see there's the earth rune, the rune of water, and then the fire. Oh, I guess I got 4 there. Actually, I could probably show that because again, we've got a second runic altar. So that guy is now doing the fire rune. You know, same story. Walrus is held there for that one. Walrus is still held here for this one. This is the craft return. It doesn't have any kind of fancy signaling, just whenever there's items to go back, they just get pushed back into the interface. So we come over here. Hopefully nothing's broken, because that would be embarrassing. We're not running that low on mana. That Hopperhock is actually doing a ton of heavy lifting. Moving on. What is something else that I needed a lot of? I guess the mana diamonds for the Runic Altar craft. So here, you know, 200, it's going to just send diamonds. And what's really neat about this, though, is we've got some logic going on here that if our mana pool drops below, which we might actually see it happen here. Oh no. Can we force it to happen? Aha, look at that. I can't middle. Oh, there it goes. I hate when the demonstration fails. There was a second there where I couldn't middle click on this, like right now again. Is that torch is off? Hold on. I've confused myself. I have an idea. I'm going to work backwards. This ender chest right here is what's pushing crafts to that mana pool. These guys here. And so what I've done is the toggle bus actually is not online right now. So we're outputting either a redstone high or low. I can't tell. I probably should have put some kind of dust there so I could see. But I can see right now there's no light in the middle of this toggle bus. So it's not able to see these recipes because that interface is offline. If I try to go here and middle click on these mana diamonds now, or anything that's mana diamond, I can't because it doesn't know about these recipes because we've turned it offline because we don't have the mana to make them. So, you know, don't. Which is a really cool way to prevent your system from just sending a bunch of diamonds here and then they just can't get made, so they just disappear. I mean, at this point, it's not necessary. I've got unlimited diamonds, but just kind of a cool, you know, proof of concept kind of thing. I guess this redstone has to come on for it will re-enable my ability. Yes, okay. So that's got to be redstone high. Oh, look at that. Just as I said it, it turned on. I guess that's why I stuck the lamp there a week ago. It's crazy how much I forget in a week. But yeah, now that that lamp's on, we can go to mana, middle click, and craft all the items. And then it'll just turn off the interface when it can't. That's kind of slick. And again, there's a translocator below the ground, which makes the items appear. Kind of neat, right? Just had to pull my calculator out for this one. 8 tall by 18 wide is 144 times 2 is 288. 288 collectors working for me. I think the math was like what, 6 to 7 minutes. A pile of neutron comes in, compress it 9 times down to this, compress this 9 times down to that. Because this should be 127 to make all these pieces. It's moments like this that I wonder, how close am I to just getting autocrafting? I thought I was pretty close, and I am. But I didn't see this piece, the Chaos Catalyst. This one's a little new. I can pretty much work towards everything. It's all pretty achievable. Except for the chaotic core. I don't know how excited I am to fight the Chaos Guardian. Oh my goodness. Fragments. None of it's EMCable.